So, you want to go to San Diego Comic-Con? Well, watch out, because as this guy would say, it's a trap. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where we take your Comic-Con and turn it into a comic pro. Pro and con? Get it? Yeah, that was really bad. Let's try it again. Where we take your comic can't and make it a comic can. And again, that one just didn't make any sense. There's gotta be a funny joke in here somewhere. More funny cosplay photos. Now, let me say this right off the bat. I am super excited about this event. I've been lucky enough to be able to go to some awesome cons this year. E3, VidCon, SGC in Dallas. And these events were all incredible. But this is my first year to go to Comic-Con, and after doing a bit of independent research, it became clear that this event was in a league of its own. A legendary league. One might say, a league of legends. Hey, that reference was not forced, okay? Anyway, it may come as a surprise to you that I have a tendency to over-research things. Shocking, I know. So of course, I've been all over the interwebs finding out the event schedules, vendor information, and where I could get the coveted best fish taco in San Diego. Oscar's Mexican food, by the way. But I started realizing that this was no ordinary con I was dealing with. Oh no. The deeper I delved into the depths of panel attendance planning, snack food strategizing, and backpack packing, the more I started to realize that this was an event that consumed people's souls. That in the game of Comic-Con, you either win or you wait a really long time in lines and don't get to see anything cool. So much waiting. Ugh. Comic-Con noobs without a strategy? Forget it. Where's that put me? You can kiss your chances of walking home with a limited edition Game of Thrones Ned Stark bobblehead goodbye. But even if you aren't a Comic-Con noob, waiting seems to be truly inevitable. For hours, just waiting and waiting and waiting. Which got me thinking, is there a way to hack Comic-Con? Playing by all the rules, but optimizing your strategy to waste as little time as possible while still getting to see that Boy Meets World reunion panel you're super psyched about. That's only a hypothetical, guys. Well, I don't know about you, but the answer sure surprised me. But first, to get there, we have to understand why things are so bad. How exactly did Comic-Con evolve into wait in line con? It's not what you'd expect. Well, Comic-Con has always been attended by hardcore fans across tons of major franchises. The inflection point truly came in 2008 when one movie changed everything. Nope. Nuh-uh. Oh, come on, reminding everyone of that movie is just cruel. No, Comic-Con 2008 was overrun with 50,000 screaming, sparkling, and fainting fans of Twilight. Attendance spiked, and suddenly almost 40% of attendees at major panels were female. It was the beginning of a new era for Comic-Con, and thanks to them, the con now has a much more diverse section of pop culture, movie, and literature events to choose from. Sorry, I can't even say it with a straight face. Literature events. Twilight is not literature. The age of the Twihards had a tremendous impact. Sure, there used to be some pretty hardcore Captain America fans or whatever, but teams Edward and Jacob took the waiting game to a whole new level, and it's never been the same since. Damn it, Twilight, first the vampires and now you ruin this. Come on, is nothing sacred to you? Where hardcore fans of their favorite franchises used to start lining up around 6 a.m. the day of to get into the main convention halls of Comic-Con, the Twiladies set the new standard of 11 p.m. the night before. Now, wait times are 8 to 10 hours in line for Hall H, the main hall of the convention center, with the charming nickname Hall Hell. What if you want to go to an afternoon event, not an event first thing in the morning? Well, tough nuggets, because Comic-Con notoriously doesn't empty the convention hall between events, which means that of the 6,500 people allowed in the hall during the day, a few thousand are literally camped there from the time the doors open to the last event of the day. So come early to have a chance, settle in for the long haul, and be prepared to pounce when that group of 50 Shades of Grey fans leave their seats unguarded during a group bathroom run. Your Your weak bladder shall be your undoing. So that is how we got to the epic waiting game of today, where 90% of Comic-Con is spent standing around attempting not to pass out from the collective stench of unwashed dead pools. Bringing us back to the original question: what strategy results in the fewest hours wasted in line? Well, there are basically two options Comic-Conners use. One, either go for one and only one of the major halls like Hall Hell or the equally infamous Ballroom B, or B, ninja your way around the smaller panels that allow you more freedom, but fewer of the big names. In the spirit of Twilight, let's call them Team Waiter and Team Slater? I don't know, I really wanted them to rhyme, but can't really come up with anything good. Anyway, if we're going to optimize our con experience, clearly one of these strategies must be the winner, right? So in an effort to achieve Comic-Con domination, I compared the two strategies using our secret weapon, math. After sifting through various forum posts, I was able to glean that about 60% of most Comic-Con attendees fall into Team, what did I call it? Slater? That's stupid. Let's just call it Team Room Hopper. So the hoppers typically wait about an hour for the panels that they attend. Since there's also plenty of non-waiting activities like expo halls, concerts, and meetups to keep people distracted, let's make a conservative assumption and say that each hopper only attends 2 events each day, meaning 8 over the course of the 4 days. Next consideration: Comic-Con articles estimate that about 25% of people will be absent on any given day from events because they're hanging out at San Diego SeaWorld watching Shamu get abused or whatever. So we'll say that the average room hopper attends in total 6 events. Okay, so we know that each person is going to spend about 1 hour times 6 events, 6 hours in line. But how many people is that? This year's Comic-Con sold out of its 130,000 tickets in an hour and a half. And as we mentioned earlier, about 60% of attendees choose the room hopper strategy, meaning you have 78,000 people going between the smaller events. In all, the total time spent in line across Team Room Hopper is 468,000 hours, or about 19,500 days worth of total wait time. All told, it's over 53 years completely eaten up in lines across 4 days of Comic-Con. And that's supposed to be our efficient strategy. That's also not including the long lines for autographs, average wait time of 2 hours, or for demos and free stuff on the expo floor, which averages about 3 hours of wait time per person per day. So if you actually add in that time, estimating that the average person can't take more than 2 days of visiting the expo floor, and about half of that 78K will be waiting for an autograph at some point that weekend, the number swells to over 1 million hours. Just over 115 years of waiting. If those lines feel like a lifetime, that's because they are. Seriously, Comic-Con lines just killed someone. So that's 60% of convention attendees, but what about the masses of people waiting overnight for Hall H or Ballroom B, nicknamed Team Waiter? Well, for them, you gotta calculate their time in tiers. The hardest of the hardcore outside Hall H start building a line at about 11 p.m. the night before the first 3 days of Comic-Con. For the last day of Comic-Con, you can sleep in until 4 a.m. and still likely get a good seat. Digging through the troves of Comic-Con tips, you can find out that about the first 500 to 1,000 people camp for the first night, putting them at about 10 hours of wait time before the doors open around 9:30 a.m. The next 5,000-ish have historically arrived after midnight, with 4 a.m. being the latest you could arrive and consistently get a seat in the back of the hall. So for them, we'll assume that they're all waiting an average of 6 hours. The additional 4,000 who arrive between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. are out of luck, either hoping to squeeze in on standby as the overnight campers die of exhaustion, or they're trying to get into a noon or 2 p.m. panel. They're also waiting about 5 hours, and between the additions and the attrition throughout the day, that stays pretty consistent until 4 p.m. So what kind of time does this actually translate to? Well, let's tally it up. The wave of overnight campers are spending the equivalent of 15,000 hours, 625 days, or about a year and a half in line across 3 days at Comic-Con. Add the second and third wave to that number and calculate it across the entire weekend, and we're looking at almost 7,000 days worth of wait time. Almost 20 years spent waiting for Hall H alone. Now we have to add Ballroom B to that number, where the lines are just as complicated, though not quite as long. And we come up with 38 years, just waiting to get in and out of the panels themselves. Oh, but we're not done yet. Those people are also putting in their hours on the expo floor and autograph line. In fact, those superfans are statistically more likely to wait for autographs. So adding together the impact of all that waiting, and you come out with a staggering 90 years of wait time in 4 days. That's another human life. Oh, but don't worry, it was totally worth that human sacrifice to see Loki on stage making fun of me personally for waiting that long. Oh my gosh, you're so totally right. I am a lowly maggot. This is the best day ever. So 115 years for Team Hopper and 90 years for Team Waiter. Altogether, 205 years of life wasted staring at the butt of the Wonder Woman standing in front of you in line. If you combined all that into one mega convention line, you'd be kept in queue since 1809. You know who the featured panelist would be at that Comic-Con? Napoleon Bonaparte. But I don't think we've taken this far enough. I mean, this is game theory after all. So we have 205 years down the drain, but what's the price of that compared with the thrill of meeting the writer of Buffy the Vampire Slayer for a whole 35 seconds? Well, as it turns out, the price is kinda high. Taking the average Comic-Con demographic, white males between 16 and 35, their average income is about $30,500 per year. That's correcting for a lot of them being in school, and about $40,400 if you just look at people with jobs. Now, if you calculate the hourly rate based on this salary, it's about $14.50 per hour. Then you multiply it by the 1.8 million wasted Comic-Con wait time hours, and you're hit with a staggering price tag of about $26 million worth of lost earnings based on time spent in line. But that's money spent on opportunity cost. You can also add on to that the $75 million of direct spending that those same attendees are paying out on the showroom floors, buying everything from Starbucks to a cardboard replica of a Minecraft diamond sword, meaning that the total sunk cost of SDCC is a whopping $100 million. Which brings us back to the subject of this episode, dear theorists. How do you win at Comic-Con? The sad truth is, you don't. But don't worry, no one does. Unless, of course, you define winning as spending 10 hours waiting outside in the hot sun in order to spend a few minutes crammed into a room with the guy who played a sparkly vampire. And if that's the case,
question your life decisions.
But hey, that's just a theory. A con theory, not a game theory. Not even gonna try to spin it as one. Thanks for watching, anyway. So obviously it's con season, and whether you're with Team Waiter or Team Slater, you're gonna be spending some time in line, and that means you'll be needing snacks. Healthy snacks. Snacks that get delivered directly to your door. Like a subscription to Nintendo Power, but tastier. And that's where NatureBox comes in. Now wait, I know what you're thinking. Not an advertisement, right? But here's the thing. I don't promote stuff that I don't personally believe in. And as loyal theorists who've already tried the service can attest to, NatureBox is pretty darn cool. I mean, people have actually come up to me and thanked me for introducing them to this, so it's definitely worth a try. And speaking of trying, by typing this into the search bar or clicking the link in the description, you get 50% off your first month. It's a great chance to try out some new snacks. This month I'm going for cherry vanilla granola, coffee kettle popcorn, and the dark cocoa nom noms. Simultaneously one of the least manly but most delicious things I've ever said. It's funny, I like treating this like a completionist challenge. Gotta try them all. And thanks to them supporting this episode, Ronnie can get himself a new pair of glasses, or at least some new electrical tape for his glasses. So roll that mouse on over to the link in the description and try out some NatureBox goodies. Your tummy will thank you, and I thank you for trusting me and signing up when I do things like this. It really does make a big difference for everyone involved with this channel, so thank you for trying these things out. Everyone who's worked with us so far has been super impressed with the turnout of the loyal theorists. So thanks guys. Theorist Fist and out.